In the second season finale of Star Wars Rebels, which I still consider to be the best episodes of the series, we saw Ezra, Kanan, and Ahsoka travel to the planet of Malachor at the behest of Yoda, as it would be there where Ezra would find what he was searching for to defeat his enemies. Along the way, we had this awesome scene between Ahsoka and Darth Vader, which eventually led to another great scene with Ahsoka and Ezra. But at the beginning of it all was Malachor's Sith Temple, and the holocron located within it. When Ezra ultimately placed the Sith holocron into the temple's central obelisk, it revealed that the temple was actually a superweapon, activating it and producing a voice of a female that would simply be known subsequently as the Presence. In the second season finale, the Presence would explain that the temple had the power to destroy life, much to the trepidation of Ezra. But the Presence would also be heard in the seasons that followed through the holocron, trying to persuade Ezra to join the path of the dark side. Unfortunately, not much was known about the Presence at the time, and while almost 4 years have passed, we still had yet to see any new information emerge within the canon regarding who this voice was and any potential backstory. However, with the release of the Episode 9 visual dictionary, I believe we can start to draw some connections and describe who the character known only as the Presence may be. Although we don't have any definitive confirmation stating it directly, I believe the Presence was the ancient Sith Lord named Darth Tanis, a new canon Sith that lived roughly 4,000 years before the events of the films. So what evidence exists that would connect the Presence from Rebels to Darth Tanis, who was only mentioned recently for the first time within the Rise of Skywalker guide? I believe the key is the description of the Presence provided by Rebels executive producer Dave Filoni back in 2016. When I mentioned before that we didn't know much about the Presence, this was strictly in relation to what was confirmed within Star Wars canon lore. Filoni had a full backstory in mind for the character who existed previously, the embodiment of the voice contained by the holocron, and in a 2016 interview with IGN.com, he provided a number of details that I believe is the key to concluding that the Presence is Darth Tanis. For example, Filoni explained that the Presence was historically an ancient Sith Lord who made a powerful discovery in the form of a superweapon that they were building on Malachor that would be under construction during the life of the Sith Lord. However, as we learned in the TV series and other canon materials, the Jedi would eventually discover the Sith Lord's efforts on Malachor, leading to the superweapon firing and resulting in the Scourge of Malachor. Filoni had this story and a name for the Sith Lord back then, but didn't have any confirmation for it at that point. There are a number of important points in here that connect the Presence to Darth Tanis within the canon lore. First, Filoni stated that the Presence was ancient, denoting her existence was in the very distant past. The Episode 9 visual dictionary confirms that Darth Tanis existed roughly 4,000 years before the era of the films, which I think meets the literal definition of ancient, but also corresponds with the different timelines and eras from Legends. For example, to Darth Revan, who lived in the same era as Tanis, now seen in canon, an ancient Sith was someone like Tulak Hord, while Darth Bane, who lived 1,000 years before the films, considered Revan to be an ancient Sith in many ways. Based on Legends terminology, I think this is fine, and Darth Tanis does fall into the ancient category, initially envisioned by Filoni for the Presence. Much more important is this. The visual dictionary confirms that Darth Tanis was an example of an early Sith who experimented with kyber crystal weaponry, which would later evolve into weapons like the Death Stars and Starkiller base. And even more important, the experimentation with this early version of kyber weaponry was performed by Tanis on the planet of Malachor. Of course, not only is the holocron containing the voice of the Presence located on Malachor by the time of Rebels, but we know that the Malachor Sith Temple, which really was constructed as a superweapon, was powered by a massive kyber crystal. As confirmed on StarWars.com, when discussing some lore behind the Rebels Season 2 finale, it states, "In the original outline of the episode, the infernal machine at the heart of the Sith Temple on Malachor actually completes its firing cycle, but in the finished episode, the removal of the holocron cuts the cycle short." More importantly, in the unfinished Crystal Crisis on Utapau arc from the Clone Wars TV series, which thanks to the Clone Wars Legacy multimedia project is officially recognized canon, Yoda mentions that ancient Sith superweapons were powered by kyber crystals, with StarWars.com confirming the Malachor Sith Temple was powered by a surviving kyber crystal, a rare example of such a weapon. Therefore, we have Filoni's vision of the Sith Lord embodied by the voice of the Presence developing a super weapon on Malachor that's powered by kyber crystal technology, while Darth Tanis is confirmed now in canon to have developed kyber crystal weapons on Malachor as well. Although we don't have a direct statement in canon confirming the presence from the Rebels TV series is Darth Tanis, I believe all of this evidence undeniably connects them. Based on the timeline, the connections to the Sith through the Darth title, the development of kyber crystal weapons, and the shared attachment to Malachor, I think we'll see confirmation at some point that the presence is Darth Tanis. The reason why I've been looking forward to the emergence of lore connected to the presence is due to the fact that in last year's Age of Rebellion Darth Maul comic, we see that the Scourge of Malachor, with the Jedi intervening to thwart the efforts of the Sith, appears to be a significant learning moment for the Sith Order in their desired destruction of the Jedi within canon. As Darth Maul learned through a vision he had on Malachor, rage alone wasn't enough to stop the Jedi, as their numbers allowed them to confront and deal with attempts to acquire power made by the Sith. Therefore, as concluded by Darth Sidious, it was patience and planning that would result in victory. As a huge fan of lore connected to Darth Bane and the Rule of Two, it's possible the holocron of the Presence and potentially Darth Tanis could be instrumental in Bane's journey to crafting the rule in canon, something akin to the holocron of Darth Revan in Legends, whether she be someone that promoted it or discouraged it. So there we have it, why the Presence is Darth Tanis. Thank you very much to all of the Patreon members of Star Wars Reading Club, as your support is so greatly appreciated. You can find all of our social media links and a link to our Star Wars gaming channel in the description below for updates and even more Star Wars content. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions. Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. If not for me... for more ancient Sith Lords.